you take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people. So how the f they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth, I think they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars.
Man.
Liars are now the face of our culture.
Before the headlines even hit, before the timeline started getting stitched together online, Kanye West had already thrown a match into the room. In a recent video, Kanye didn't talk about documents or court filings. He talked about power, about truth, about how certain figures in the culture built their legacy inside systems that destroy their own people, and how those same figures could never really speak honestly without risking everything they have. He didn't name dates. He didn't show receipts. He named Jay-Z and Pusha T and said the quiet part out loud. That we love the music so much, we stop asking hard questions. That liars end up becoming the face of the culture. And whether you agree with Kanye or not, that moment mattered because almost immediately after, the pressure shifted. Suddenly, a lot of attention started pointing in the same direction. Jay-Z, his silence, his movements, and then the headline dropped. Everyone saw it. Jay-Z leaves the country. New Epstein files released. But almost no one slowed down enough to look at the exact timing. Because once you line up the dates, the movement, and the silence, this stops looking like a routine trip and starts looking like strategy. Here's what we actually know from public record. In January of 2025, a new batch of unsealed documents connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case was released to the public. Court filings, flight logs, names that had been redacted for years were suddenly visible. The media cycle detonated instantly. Social media went nuclear. Every platform flooded with timelines, screenshots, speculation.
Pusha T and Jay-Z are named alongside Harvey Weinstein in 2019 FBI crisis that was released later. Epstein. Say you swear to fucking God. This is what I'm gonna have to say about that stupid ass shit, bro. About people wanna talk about Drake and shit. I swear to God, Drake will never be found on the Epstein list, and I promise you.
And within days, Jay-Z was spotted outside the United States. On the surface, that doesn't sound like much. Jay-Z travels. He's a billionaire. He has business interests across the globe. He owns a champagne brand. He has stakes in entertainment companies. He's married to Beyonce. International travel is literally part of the job description. But that's the part most people stop at. What they miss is the timing. This wasn't just close, it was immediate. And for someone who has built an entire empire on calculated moves, optics, and narrative control, that kind of urgency doesn't happen by accident. That's not random. That's reactive. And this also isn't the first time Jay-Z's name has floated through Epstein-adjacent conversations. Back in 2020, when Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, forums and gossip pages started connecting dots. Not because Jay-Z was named in any official documents, he wasn't, but because of proximity. Elite events, the kinds of rooms where the same people keep showing up. Fundraisers in the Hamptons, galas in Manhattan, closed-door gatherings where billionaires, politicians, and entertainment power players overlap. At the time, fans brushed it off. The Bay Hive defended him. Jay-Z himself said nothing. Total silence. And that silence stood out, because this is someone who has never been afraid to address rumors on his own terms. Someone who turned cheating allegations into a Grammy-winning confessional. Someone who has always understood the value of controlling the narrative. So when he chose not to engage at all, even back then, it felt notable. Still, there were no direct accusations, no legal filings, just online theories that never fully caught fire, until now. Because when this latest batch of Epstein-related documents went public, the reaction was instant. Twitter exploded with trending topics. Reddit went into full timeline mode. TikTok creators started stitching clips together, pulling old interviews, mapping out who was where and when. And even though Jay-Z's name didn't appear in any new incriminating context, didn't show up on flight manifests, didn't surface in depositions, the conversation around him spiked hard. That's where part one really begins. Once the documents went public, the internet didn't just react, it mobilized. Reddit shifted into full detective mode. Entire threads were built around timelines, archived photos, and old public appearances. TikTok creators started stitching together clips, pulling interviews from the 1990s and early 2000s, lining up dates, locations, events, and social circles. Names were cross-referenced with flight logs, old gala photos resurfaced, context was rebuilt in real time. And once again, to be clear, Jay-Z did not appear in any new incriminating context. His name wasn't listed on flight manifests, it wasn't mentioned in depositions, it didn't show up in court filings connected to wrongdoing.
This is not a drill. Pusha T and Jay-Z have both been revealed to be in the Epstein files. A few moments ago, we have just received shocking news within the music world that two major artists in the rap game were revealed to be in the Epstein files, like Pusha T and Jay-Z. Now, specifically in the Epstein file, Pusha T is accused of doing something to a woman that is very disturbing, with it saying in approximately 2007, a woman attended a party following an invitation from an unknown man who approached her as she walked down the street. Weinstein and Pusha T also attended the party and drugged her and ended up doing other things. And as for Jay-Z, the details are a lot more disturbing, within the files claiming that Jay-Z was doing something to a woman while she was sleeping, with it saying from her home she then later woke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into you know what. Nonetheless though, what he has in my entire situation, Pusha T and Jay-Z have both been name dropped in the Epstein files. Do you guys think that this is all cap, or do you guys think there's a lot of truth to this? Make sure you guys let me know.
But that didn't stop the conversation from exploding. In fact, it made it louder, because people weren't making accusations, they were asking questions, and there's a difference. Was he ever on the island? Did he know Jeffrey Epstein personally? Did they ever do business together? Why has he never publicly addressed any of this? Not once, not now, not years ago. Those questions didn't stay confined to conspiracy forums or fringe corners of the internet. They went mainstream. Instagram comment sections, Twitter threads pulling hundreds of thousands of impressions, viral clips dissecting body language and silence, the kind of visibility that makes publicists uncomfortable, the kind of attention that, if you're someone like Jay-Z, you don't just brush off. Because what happened next is where coincidence starts to feel less convincing and more calculated. Within 48 hours of the Epstein-related files going public, Jay-Z was photographed overseas. Reports said Europe. Some outlets framed it as business, meetings tied to his cognac brand or music ventures. Others suggested it was personal, a family trip, time away with Beyonce and their kids. All of those explanations sound reasonable on their own. Any one of them could be true. But what almost no one addressed was the other half of the equation. The silence, no statement from his camp, no denial, no clarification, no press release dismissing the rumors as baseless, no Instagram post, no tweet, nothing. And that's where the optics shift, because this isn't an artist unfamiliar with controversy. This is someone who has handled public crises with surgical precision for decades, someone who turned the elevator incident into album material, someone who responded to infidelity rumors with a full artistic redemption arc, someone who has always understood how to step in front of a story before it controls him. So when that same person chooses complete radio silence at a moment like this, it doesn't go unnoticed. It becomes the story. The silence is deafening. And to understand why it matters so much, you have to talk about optics. Because in celebrity crisis management, there's always been a playbook. It's never been complicated. You either get ahead of the story and shape it yourself, or you disappear and wait for it to burn out. For years, both strategies worked. Jay-Z chose the second option here. But that's where the problem starts. The internet doesn't let stories die anymore, not like it used to. In 2005, you could disappear for 2 weeks and the news cycle would move on. In 2025, the story follows you. It mutates, it grows, it spawns subplots, and that's exactly what happened next. Reddit threads began cataloging every public appearance Jay-Z had ever made. Galas, fundraisers, industry events, old photos resurfaced and were cross-referenced with known Epstein-adjacent figures. People weren't claiming crimes, they were mapping proximity. Were they at the same events, the same parties? Did they share mutual friends? Did their circles overlap? Again, none of this is evidence of wrongdoing. None of it proves anything illegal. None of it even proves anything unethical. But in the court of public opinion, proximity alone is enough to spark suspicion. And the longer Jay stayed silent, the louder that speculation became. That's the moment this story stops being celebrity gossip and turns into something else entirely. A conversation about power, about control, about the limits of image management. Because Jay-Z's entire brand is built on being untouchable. The man who came from the Marcy projects and became a billionaire. The man who went from selling drugs to selling out stadiums. The man who married the biggest pop star on the planet. The man who sits courtside with NFL commissioners, rubs shoulders with presidents, and is known to have direct access to figures like Barack Obama. His reputation isn't just clean, it's curated. Every move calculated, every controversy managed, every narrative steered. For decades, that formula worked. But this is different, because unlike cheating rumors, business disputes, or even the Solange elevator incident, this isn't something you can reframe creatively. This isn't something you can turn into art. This is about association. And in 2025, association with Jeffrey Epstein, even indirect, even unproven, even purely perceived, is reputational poison. It doesn't matter if you never met him. It doesn't matter if you were never on the island. It doesn't matter if there's zero evidence tying you to anything illegal. If the internet decides there's a connection, if social media threads gain enough traction, if your name appears in enough adjacent conversations, you become part of the story whether you like it or not. So when Jay-Z leaves the country, right as those dots are being connected, the facts almost stop mattering. What matters is perception. And the perception forming online is simple, blunt, and uncomfortable. Why run if there's nothing to hide? And zooming out, this isn't just about Jay-Z anymore. It's about how celebrity works now, how power works now, how accountability works or doesn't in an era where silence no longer protects you the way it once did. At the same time, Jay-Z wasn't the only name that started quietly circulating in these conversations. Another artist pulled into the discussion was Pusha T. Not through headlines, not through accusations, but through references in public records that were enough to trigger the same pattern recognition online. To be clear, Pusha T was not charged, not accused, and not named in any criminal allegation. But what people noticed was the response. The same response: silence. For an artist known for confrontation and precision, that absence stood out. Two different figures, two different levels of power. One shared reaction: say nothing, let the moment pass. And that similarity pushed the conversation away from individuals and toward an industry pattern. For someone whose entire reputation is built on saying what others won't, this silence isn't just noticeable. It's the loudest thing in the room. For decades, the ultra-wealthy operated inside a completely different ecosystem, a closed circuit, private jets, private islands, NDAs, silence, money that didn't just solve problems, but made them disappear. It was the kind of world where Jeffrey Epstein was able to thrive for years without meaningful consequences, protected not by secrecy alone, but by proximity to power. But that ecosystem doesn't function the same way anymore. Post-2020, post-Ghislaine Maxwell, post-Me Too, post every public reckoning we've watched unfold over the last 5 years. The public doesn't trust that world now. They don't give it the benefit of the doubt. Instead, they assume that if you were in those circles, you knew something, ignored something, or benefited from something. Fair or not, that assumption has become the default. And that's the real threat to someone like Jay-Z. Not legal consequences. There's no evidence pointing to those, no charges, no filings, no direct accusations. The danger here is cultural, it's reputational. It's what happens when a legacy gets slowly reframed. When every achievement starts getting footnoted with a quiet "but." When the music still hits, but people hesitate before defending it. When the business empire still stands, but the foundation starts getting questioned. That's the risk. Not prison, not lawsuits, but permanent association with something you can never fully scrub away. Jay-Z leaving the country doesn't prove guilt. It doesn't even suggest it legally, but it does reveal something else: vulnerability. For the first time in years, maybe decades, Jay doesn't look like he's leading the narrative. He looks like he's reacting to it, like he's on defense, like the story moved faster than his ability to control it. And for someone who has spent 30 years managing every headline, every lyric, every interview, every carefully constructed moment of his public persona, that loss of control is a crisis on its own. Online, the reaction split almost perfectly down the middle. The Bayhive and Jay loyalists came out swinging. He's traveling for business. This is a reach. People will believe anything. Comment sections flooded with defenses. Twitter timelines filled with dismissals, calling the speculation baseless conspiracy theories fueled by boredom, paranoia, and a desire to tear down successful black men. And to be fair, they're not wrong about one thing. There is no evidence. There are no charges. There is nothing concrete tying Jay-Z to Epstein beyond existing in overlapping wealthy circles. But the other side wasn't convinced. Why now? Why leave at this exact moment? Why not just address it directly if there's nothing there? Say it. Put out a statement. Clear the air. The fact that he hasn't, the fact that his team has gone completely radio silent is exactly what's feeding the fire. Because in the absence of information, people fill in the gaps themselves, and those narratives are rarely generous. Then there's the industry reaction, or more accurately, the lack of one. The silence from other celebrities, from collaborators, from people who have worked with Jay for years. It's loud. No one is publicly defending him, but no one is publicly distancing themselves either. It's a holding pattern. Everyone watching, everyone waiting to see which way this goes before choosing a side. That's how you know it's serious, when even your peers won't touch it. For years, Jay-Z's power came from being both powerful and protected. He could navigate controversy, spin narratives, absorb pressure, and come out stronger on the other side. But this isn't about infidelity. It's not about business deals. It's not about rap beef. The Epstein story exists in a category the public doesn't forgive. And if your name gets tied to it, even tangentially, even unfairly, even without evidence, there's no album you can drop to rewrite the conversation, no bars you can spit to flip the narrative. Some stories don't bend to art, they just stick. You can't turn this into art, it doesn't bend. It doesn't remix, it just sticks. So let's lay the timeline out one more time because the sequence matters. Day 1. A new batch of Epstein-related files is unsealed. The media frenzy begins. Headlines everywhere. Social platforms light up almost instantly. Day 2 and 3. Jay-Z's name starts trending. Not because he's named in the documents, not because he appears in flight logs or depositions, but because people are asking a single question over and over again. Is he in this? Day 4. Jay-Z is spotted leaving the United States. No statement, no explanation, no clarification. Day 5 through 7. Speculation intensifies. Reddit threads grow longer. TikTok videos rack up views. Twitter debates spiral. Clips, screenshots, timelines, theories. Momentum builds. Day 8 and beyond. Total silence from Jay's team. Still overseas, still no comment. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns tell stories. They tell us about decision-making, about strategy, about fear. Not fear of guilt necessarily, but fear of perception. Fear that even addressing the conversation gives it more oxygen. Fear that silence might be safer than engagement. And maybe it is, or maybe it's the exact opposite. Because here's what we're left with. A billionaire who built his entire empire on control suddenly looks like he's reacting instead of leading. A public that's more skeptical than ever of the wealthy and powerful. And a story that, guilty or not, has already shifted how people see him. That's the uncomfortable truth. It doesn't actually matter whether Jay-Z did anything wrong. What matters is whether people believe he did. And right now, the internet is actively making up its mind. So the real question isn't about legality, it's about optics. It's about legacy. Did leaving actually protect him, or did it confirm what people were already starting to think? That's where this stops being a headline and becomes a conversation. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think silence is still a smart move in today's internet climate, or did it make everything worse? Did stepping away help control the narrative, or did it let the narrative take control? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe.